dies. And if you can identify dies, you're going to soon be able to identify dates. And you are literally going to know from 1 through 60 million what order each coin was struck in. And um, I think it won't break down quite like that. I think it's going to be more that, people are going to seek the first maybe 10 coins off a die because you know that those are going to be the best struck.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some useful information in there. Now, as with all technology, wrangling it and getting it to work the way that you want it to, getting it to actually yield you some results that are worth anything,
Well,
kind of takes time.
and how the heck can we market it? That's the other thing they're thinking about.
Well, those are see, that's what generally fuels the engine. But I don't think that because me being a marketing person, I'm going to tell you, I don't think that marketing is really anything without demand on the other end. And marketing itself is the science of getting consumers, studying their behavior and trying to capitalize on their behavior. But I think that it's not the marketing that influences that drives the consumers. That would be the tail wagging the dog. I still always think that it is the consumer, and it's the marketers that try and figure out how they behave and how they can get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I guess I can. I guess I can see that.
Dave writes it writes in his column that if collectors pay a premium, the Mint could offer a service where collectors could place orders for proof coins struck on the dates that interest them.
Huh.
He also notes that this sounds hopelessly complicated until you remember that complicated situations are just what computers are good at sorting out.
Hmm. How cool.
So, yeah, it's an interesting take that you can know exactly when a coin was struck, and that could be of value to somebody.
Well, we'll see if they run with it or not. It's interesting, at least.
We have a listener question.
All right.
I love listener
I do
questions,
too. They're fun.
especially when they come from people with famous names.
Oh Lord.
Paul Barber.
Hmm.
Get it? Barber?
Interesting name. Yeah.
Writes. He has a question regarding U.S. typesets, and he writes, "Hi, Mike and Matt. First, let me say I love, love, love the show.
Oh, three loves.
Please keep up the great work. You know what? We love, love, love our listeners."
Yes.
Paul's question is, can you discuss the lack of more comprehensive U.S. typeset albums and displays? Also, do you know anyone in the business who could make a custom album or display? The Dansco 7070 doesn't include enough variety for me. I'm most disappointed by the lack of 18th century types. Furthermore, I don't understand why the 18th century types aren't included. Price can't be the reason because you know, because some of the gold types exceed the value of the missing 18th century types.
Yeah.
I appreciate you may not want to discuss this on air or don't have time for a lengthy response, but if you happen to have a contact for custom albums or displays, please let me know. Thanks. Best regards, Paul Barber. Paul, not only do we have time, we live for this stuff.
Yes, we do.
Okay, now to address your question about it, does somebody make a display or an album or a set for you? And I will tell you that Capital Plastics
Yes.
will make you a holder any way you want. They'll make it in the color that you want. They will put the labels on it. They'll cut the holes the way you want. They'll arrange it the way you want. And I don't really think they charge a huge premium to do it.
It's slightly expensive, but I mean, it's a one-time purchase for what you're looking for. But yeah, um, I've known several customers that have used them and have all been satisfied. So
Yeah, I like Capital Plastics holders because they don't give you the general problem of slide marks across your coins because you have to take them literally apart. But that being said, they also sometimes can be more difficult to add or take coins out of for that exact reason, because you have to undo all the screws and you have to take it off
Yeah.
and that. But um, they offer them a variety of colors. So one of the things that I've seen people do with Capital Plastics holders over the years is collect sets of different types of coins. I think that the silver coins really, really, really look nice in either a white or a black holder because it contrasts the luster of the coins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're just beautiful.
Yeah. And to answer the other part of that question as to why they don't include some of the earlier varieties, because there's so stinking many of them is why. There's a lot of different varieties. A lot of them are very minor, and they would have to probably add another page or 2 pages in that like 70/70 album just to fit all that stuff in there. So there are a lot of different varieties. There was a lot of like 2 year, 5 year, 3 year, 15-year runs of certain designs. So that's the answer to that part of the question.
Now, Paul wrote to us on March 22nd, and if you notice, he got a pretty speedy response. And you know why?
Why is it?
Because he addressed it to questions at coinshowradio.com, Matt at coinshowradio.com, and Mike at
Hey,
coinshowradio.com.
spray and pray.
That's right. Just try the scattergun method, shoot it at all of us, and chances are that, you get a response. And if you have a question, if you have something that you'd really like to hear our opinion on, or if you'd like to hear what we have to say about it, like I said, it constitutes an opinion. If you'd like to plumb our knowledge for what we know about, you can write to us too. Matt at coinshowradio.com, Mike at coinshowradio.com, or questions at coinshowradio.com. I was at an event the other night,
Uh-huh.
taking my son to this bowling party,
Okay.
and one of the young ladies that was there, somebody in her 20s, looks at me. She goes, "Is that a Coffin Cats shirt?" And I'm like, "Why, yes, it is." She says, "I love the Coffin Cats."
Uh,
So do we.
that's awesome.
Just saying. In our feature segment tonight, we have decided to give you a point counterpoint.
Point counterpoint. I love it.
Point counterpoint. And today's subject on point counterpoint is going to be Morgan dollars.
Which, believe it or not, is a subject we really haven't gone that far in depth into. I was surprised when you told me that. I was like, yeah, we have. No, we
No,
haven't.
we haven't. I mean, if you look
So,
at the list, we have covered Susan B. Anthony dollars more than we have covered
which
Morgan's.
is ridiculous.
That is ridiculous because there's 4 years of the, 4 years of those. So
Hmm.
I am going to take the negative, but I am going to let you, my very good friend Matt, start with the affirmative.
Well, with the affirmative, okay, Morgan Silver dollars. Okay, the first thing that came to my head, and I'm sure this is the first thing that's come into a lot of people's head as they listen to this. Morgan Silver dollars are the most collected coin series in numismatics. Period.
And you get your statistics on this from.
From dealing with a lot of customers and going to a lot of big coin shows.
Okay, so from personal
Yeah,
experience, you see
you
a lot.
forget I do this 6 days a week.
Well, I don't forget. I just, I know that everybody's experience is different, although yours is very generalized. So
Yeah.
I have to give you, a little bit more
Well,
leeway.
and some of my other points will back that up in a little bit, but
Okay. Now my initial point is Morgans have an unattractive design.
I agree though, and unfortunately that is true. They're kind of inspiring, but the design itself is kind of boring.
It's kind of boring, and it's I don't know. It's a little crowded.
Mm,
Um, I don't think that the relief is particularly, inspiring.
yeah,
But yet it is a good coin to learn how to grade on. Because you have to learn what prime focal areas are.
they are easy to grade. That was a point I had written down.
But I'm not taking the affirmative.
No, no. Okay, here I'll go ahead and back up my most collected coin series by this particular stat that I found. Mike, how many Morgan Silver dollars in total do you believe have been certified by both PCGS and NGC?
Oh my. Well, here's my question: Is this is how many submissions?
This is their population report. So there's some coins that have been sent in a few times, but
Right.
how many times have NGC and PCGS certified Morgan Silver dollars?
I would have to say it numbers in the millions,
Over 6 million.
over 6 million, which
By
is probably
far,
more than, yeah,
the
probably
next
more than any other set.
the next largest was St. Gaudens $20 gold pieces at about 900,000.
Now, let me ask you this: since you have all your grading stats there, what is your average grade on those?
They didn't say. I was
Okay.
just going after sheer numbers. I wasn't necessarily going after average grade.
See, because okay, you think or you have stated that they're very widely collected
Yes.
and you see them everywhere and they're hugely certified. But I will tell you that even though they're seemingly readily available, assembling a set is a fairly difficult task
I agree. That's a very good negative point because
and will require some very deep pockets.
yes, that is a very valid point, and that is something that I tell people all the time when they say, "I want to put a set of Morgans together," and I said, "Okay, well, you're going to get a starter set at about $20,000 plus or minus." So that keep that in mind when you get started on this. So
Now,
I definitely agree with your point there.
okay, I will also tell you that Morgan dollars, dollar coins in general, are anathema to Americans.
Excuse me?
Okay,
Did
anathema
you just
is
sneeze?
no. Basically, what it means is that they're something that is not in. It's not generally
Oh, we
popular
hate them.
anymore.
Yeah. Oh,
Dollar coins, Americans have from the very beginning. They don't like dollar coins. They've never circulated. They've always had problems with them, going all the way back, to the flowing hair dollars. And the Morgan dollar is the longest running dollar series of all of them.
hmm. Yeah. Well, and that particular point that you just made kind of backs up another one of my points, which is there are several large hordes of coins that have come out that you were able to collect examples from. The GSA horde, the Redfield horde, the Binion horde, just to name a couple. These were all large hordes of silver dollars, most of which were in really high grade and allowed collectors to have nice examples.
Right, but why did those hordes exist? And here
I
is
know.
really
You
kind of
just
the
told me why.
crux.
Nobody liked
Right,
them, and they sat
because
in
nobody
banks.
likes them. So when they were available at face value, nobody cared about these coins at all.
I don't know about that.
Uh, very, very few. I mean, the overwhelming majority of them were
Towards the
minted.
end, there were a lot of people going to the Fed with silver certificates and changing them in for bags of dollars. I mean, that's not uncommon
Well,
knowledge.
towards the end, meaning in what time frame are you talking about?
64, towards the end
Okay,
of being able to exchange silver
but let me
certificates for.
but let me explain something really key to that argument. In 1964, it was starting to be figured out by people that there actually was a dollar's worth of silver in a dollar coin. And that was never the case at any time when they were being minted.
Good point.
Okay, it's basically the the silver dollars, the Morgan dollars. Let's see, where do I want to go with this? Um, the Morgan dollars were basically minted as a as a subsidy to silver mining industry.
I agree.
Pretty much, period. That was it. It is what I think should be a case study in inefficiency and general waste of taxpayers. And I'm sorry, but I believe that's true. There are three basic acts that surround the history of the Morgan dollar. The first of which is the Bland-Allison Act. And the Bland-Allison Act was passed at the very beginning of the Morgan dollar's history. Let's see. Bland-Allison forced the government to buy tens of millions of ounces of silver to make into dollar coins. Now, so much production